One, all that is, one.
Overruled. Call the meeting order.
Here we go.
Claire, you wanna take a roll call?
Schmidt,
Here.
Borchert,
Here.
Hawk,
Here.
Garrett,
Here.
Chris,
Here.
Meyer,
Here.
Ronstagen,
Here.
Berg,
Here.
Mayor Early.
Stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have an approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Myers, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Schmidt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Do we have approval of the minutes of the October 15th meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Schmidt to approve, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Garrett. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Do we have any visitors that wish to be heard? How about the deputy? Can you give us a report or?
My name is Deputy Fedderson, one of the newer deputies. I've been on my own for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months now, so I spend every other day up here. I haven't had a lot of any instances of anything big that I need to bring up, but I guess if you guys have any input for us, I'd be more than welcome to pass it on to everybody, so.
Our speed limit report on, do you see any issues with that or haven't you seen our report?
I actually haven't seen it.
Anybody have questions of the deputy? Thank you.
You can keep that.
Moving on, we have a public hearing for temporary one-day alcoholic beverage license for the annual museum fundraiser.
Exactly right. The annual museum fundraiser is to be held on December 2nd. This is to be considered the public hearing. This is for a one-day alcoholic beverage license for them to serve and sell alcohol within the museum premises, 407 East 7th Street. They are a nonprofit, so they do not have to have a on-sale license holder. Nonprofits can be issued this temporary one-day alcoholic beverage license, and they still purchase their alcohol through the city, and they have to have liquor liability insurance and everything, those type of coverages.
Where are they having this at?
At the museum.
And it isn't liquor, it's just
Why
wine,
did he sell it?
it's just wine and malt, just so you know that.
So we move on then.
Sorry, fourth.
Fourth, okay.
Any other discussion? Do we have a motion?
I make motion to approve it.
Motion by Hawk to approve, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Borchert. Any further discussion?
Waive the fee. There's no fee.
Yeah, there's a
There's a
$50 fee and that cannot be waived.
That cannot be,
Yeah,
okay,
that's right.
all right. Then I won't waive it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Moving on, public hearing on off-sale liquor and wine licenses and operating agreements. And we're going to deal with them each one by one.
We'll deal with each one of them one by one, and Finance Officer Bartman is going to give an update on each. She's verified the property tax and those that have submitted all their paperwork appropriately.
We'll start with 2017-13 Monkey's Bar.
So Monkeys has brought in their application and they have paid the fee. But they are pending their property taxes being paid, and I cannot send that to the state until they have been paid, so I would recommend approving this one, pending their taxes being paid as well.
Do we have a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Garrett to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Borchert. Any other discussion on that one? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Is that gonna be with the
Yeah,
approval? Okay,
with the taxes, after taxes are paid.
that's what I figured you were gonna say that.
All those in favor by signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to 2017-14 Hilltop.
So this is actually not El Tapatio, and they're all 2018, it shouldn't say 2017,
That's a
just so you
critical
know.
error, apologize.
So it's 2018-14, and so El Tapatio obviously is no longer. El Tapatio has been transferred to Joan Rasmussen, back to the Grant. A new restaurant, called Papa's Pub and Eatery. They're in the process right now of getting the license transferred to them. And so 2 weeks from now, our next council meeting, you'll see that transfer. So I'm gonna, do we just pass that or not?
I think that we should table 2018-14.
Okay, just table it and then, it'll just be the transfer that you will see in 2 weeks. This is actually we'll see this again on December 3rd, the renewal for the 2019. So we have to go through the transfer and then to the renewal, if that makes sense.
So we shouldn't, so we don't need to.
So
do
let's
table.
table this until December 3rd.
I make a motion to table it till December third. Next council meeting, which is the
Motion by Hawk to table until December 3rd. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by
And
Myers.
December third, is it?
December, I don't know what I said. so-
December 3rd.
That will be.
Yeah,
December
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
1 month.
1 month, yeah.
Yep, okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2018-16, or excuse me, 15, Dell's Bowl.
This is a great one. Taxes are paid, application and fee have been, or are in the office.
Any further discussion on that one?
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Hawk to approve, second by Borcher. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2018-16, Cubbies.
Taxes are paid, application and fee has been, paid.
So move.
Motion by Meyer to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Garrett. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to 18-17, County Fair.
Taxes are paid, application and fee have arrived.
Any further discussion on that one?
So moved.
Motion by Schmidt to approve and seconded by
I'll second it.
Garrett. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Resolutions 18-18, Casey's General Store.
The taxes have not been paid on this one, but we have received the application and fee. So, same as Mucky's, I recommend waiting until the taxes have been paid. Approved, but
Subject to payment.
yes.
Do we have a motion?
So move based on that recommendation.
Motion by Borcher to approve pending payment of the taxes. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Garrett. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Resolution 2018-19, Winchester Steakhouse.
This one, as far as I know, they are not open. We've not received an invoice of any sort that they have taken out any, or purchased any liquor or malt or anything. They have also not, sent in an application. So as far as I am aware, they are not applying for their 2019 license. They were also sent a letter. It is in, I believe I put it was my rough draft that I sent to Dean that you guys have. It's just missing one sentence in there, the one that you have in your packets. But I sent a certified letter to him stating that, you know, as I've told you over the past couple of years, that if you're not in active status, then you cannot take out another license for a year, so.
No action needed.
I would deny I guess he hasn't.
He hasn't
he
sent one
even
in.
applied.
He
He
hasn't
hasn't
applied.
even applied. So, yeah, no action needed.
Moving on to the operating agreement with the Shopko as far as the on-off sale retail wine.
Their taxes are paid and their application and fee have been sent to the office.
So move.
Motion by Meyer to approve,
Second.
seconded by Hawk. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. On to old business. Cedar Rapids Transit 2019 budget.
Several transit issues to discuss here, within old business this evening. So, we'll kind of address these one by one, but the discussion might kind of cross in between each of the topics here. So the council's aware, we've had discussions about the state cutting some of our funding for 2019. Total of $10,000 in state grant for 2019. So with that, worked with ICAP. ICAP assisted us with looking at the trends of usage of the actual transit, and that is the spreadsheet that's attached, okay? Looking at this and analyzing the hours and the type of use that the transit has throughout the course of the two different seasons, which would be the school year, school period, and then the summer. So as the council knows, we moved to Monday through Friday. We did that in 2018. The reason we did that, if you'll recollect, is that there was some of the preschools that operate on Friday, and the parents had approached us about operating on Friday so that we could haul kids to preschool. So I think the council wanted to make a commitment towards being operating during the school year, Monday through Friday. So what ICAP did was look at the hours that the transit actually hauls people Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And that is this highlighted yellow area. So at this point, we are talking about, or presenting to the council, to cut from 40 hours a week of operation to 31 hours a week of operation. This would be 5 hours on Monday, 7 hours on Tuesday, 7 hours on Wednesday, 7 hours on Thursday, and 5 hours on Friday, totaling 31 hours. Okay? If we do that, that will give us a cost savings for 2019 of $5,500 in wages. If you look at the summer, we would be reducing from 32 hours, which we operate now, down to 24. So this would be 6 hours Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We would still have the ability to take kids to swimming lessons and Safety Town and a lot of the other activities that we're transporting kids during the summer. We just would not operate on Fridays, which we don't currently. We're just reducing 2 hours a day on each of those days, rather than running 8 hours a day. So total savings, if we reduce hours in both the school period and the summer, is $8,840, which goes a long ways towards offsetting the $10,000 cut that we're receiving from the state. So at this time, that's what we're proposing to the council, to reduce those hours based on when the transit is being utilized. Any questions?
Does cutting our hours reduce our grant?
No.
That's not tied into the hours of operation?
No, that's tied into the budget request. So,
So these are already hours that we don't have as many passengers?
I think these are, if you look at, he went in and really dug into the usage, and these are these Mondays and Fridays, they're sitting more idle than the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday during the week. So, yes, this is they tried to look at the times that the transit is most utilized.
He has on here the, excuse me, the additional 1 hour each day for elderly rides, what?
I think just to have it open to an additional hour, you know, to get
If
us.
needed.
Yes, or just just giving us an hour kind of cushion within each of those days in case things come up, things arise.
Okay.
Rides arise during those days.
Okay.
approve this?
Well, I would say we should approve it officially, and then this is gonna tie into, the state grant agreement, which is the next item on the agenda.
As far as the drivers, have we talked to them, or is this a big
They're
issue?
aware, I mean, the majority of our drivers are kind of part-time folks anyways, they're not relying on this as a full-time position. So there's gonna be some flexibility there. The way we kinda, we started talking and, you know, like, Tom, works for the, sped bus. They go to work, go home, go back to work. You know, they're going when the rides have to go. So we kind of thought that same thing maybe should be the case here. Maybe we shouldn't just pay them to sit idle. So just reducing those hours is kind of that same idea.
So you had kind of mentioned that the reason we took the cut is because we're trying to push these smaller towns to.
Consolidate, yes.
So if that ends up happening, will there be an opportunity to get more funds to expand our hours? Because I don't think we wanna cut hours, we wanna expand the
Continue to have
service.
this as being a trend.
Yeah,
I would hope that maybe this would be a temporary solution to deal with the budget issue for next year.
yeah, or what happens next year if we choose not to merge and they pick.
Well, hopefully I'll have some recommendations on that, you know, towards the first part of the year, where we can maybe be making a move.
This is our view about, this is our 1 year stopgap until we have to make the jump, cause they're, I mean, if they're already pinching us, they're gonna keep pinching us harder next year.
Well, we're gonna need to make a move, and I guess, it was 2 meetings ago, I asked the council just to give me some time to do research, talk with, ICAP and talk with, Brookings Transit's been thrown out there as another option, just to kind of explore our options and to see which would be the best fit.
And are we trying to make that, get that $10,000 back? I mean, is that something that we need to do?
I think what we did was look at this to see where those cost savings got us. The 10,000 wasn't sitting out there as as a goal. This is where it came in at. So it got us relatively close to that 10,000. So we're dealing with kind of a zero-sum game as far as what the cost to the city general fund will be. And not having to come up with this 88. The city can make the decision to keep the hours open or keep the hours as is, and then we're just gonna cover that $10,000 difference in our budget. We'll do a supplemental budget for it. This was an option that the council can consider to not have to do that supplement in 2019.
So the $10,000 extra is something that the council has already agreed to pay,
No, not necessarily.
hasn't?
No. We received the word from the state that we were getting cut 10,000. That's the next item on the agenda is to approve the state grant agreement.
Was that in our budget though? That we just approved, I can't remember.
No, because we received the budget cut
After.
after
Okay.
the budget was passed.
So we were expecting the 10,000.
We're $10,000 short, and that's what, trying to come up with a solution here, and this is one of the options for a solution.
One thing I noticed here on the youth, on the top graph, whatever,
That's our bread and butter.
but June is 180, July 528, and then August 109. That's quite a, I figured those were the summer months. What
Yeah,
happened
I
in July? What
think
happened
July
in-
is safety town, right?
June and July.
Summer reading. The library.
How about swimming lessons, wouldn't,
I don't know, I just, it kind
That's-
of jumps out at
That's
me.
swimming lessons too.
That's
same time, it's pretty much June.
But we're
July.
not, we're not getting paid for those.
Yeah.
These are paid rides,
No, these are just
this
rides.
is everything.
This is
So
statistics.
it's to make
This
sure
is
we have it covered.
statistics on ridership.
But we think we can do this cut and still service everybody that wants to be serviced, right? I mean, this is the idea, is just to kind
That's
of
the idea, is just
cut the
to
days that
look
we have
at
to
it and
use.
not sit idle, have
Yep.
less
I mean,
idle.
it makes sense, but,
Basically become more efficient.
yeah,
Yeah.
but still service.
But still,
Everybody that
still
wants
provide that
service.
service. You know, what we can maybe do is if we're running into an issue when we need to open up hours again, because there's a higher demand, we can maybe have that discussion.
Yeah,
I think that would be the way to go.
I shouldn't really.
Or could it be that we just, enact that where if they don't have a ride for an hour, we just send them home? Just do that instead of cutting hours and see where that shakes out? You know, just start doing that with the employees? Would that be?
How is
I
that?
think this is easier.
I was gonna say,
That
how do they
is
do that
set.
logistically? How's
Yeah,
that?
Yeah,
how's
that
that
was
being
set
tracked? How's
hours
that?
for employees is kind of an
Well,
important thing.
We'd almost
you
have
know.
to have a dispatcher then.
The way the bus drivers do it, you know, you clock in and clock out. Like when I run the night route, you clock in at 3 o'clock, and when you get home and you got your bus swept out, you clock out. In the morning, you clock in, when you start,
But
you
you've got a
clock
set,
out.
you've got a
Well-
set route though, in the
Yeah,
fact
well,
that, you
what do you
know.
mean, activities?
Well, but-
Activities?
You never
No, but what I'm saying is, you know that you've got, you're gonna go to work in the morning, you're gonna go to work in the afternoon. These guys don't know if they need to come in, you know,
Well,
go back home
isn't
for an hour or
Is their
hour
schedule
and a half.
done? Isn't your riders
Not
advanced?
always,
Not always.
not always.
Okay,
A lot
how
of it is, and
Most
we
of it
ask
is,
that
isn't
if you do request a ride, it's 24 hours in advance.
Well, I mean, if you can schedule it,
Yeah.
then you can,
Yeah,
But at least this gives us some data behind that we have the potential to save $8,800 versus we have no idea what that's gonna get us.
We need
I
to
guess
get,
I'd rather sit back and data a little bit and have that be the first
we
option.
need to have the state grant agreement, the next item on the agenda, signed and sent to the state before the end of this month. So this was an attempt to bring the cost savings to the council, so we have a comfort level in moving forward with the 2019 operation.
I guess I make the motion to try this restructuring of hours, and with the option that if we need to look at it down the road, subsidize it, that we do.
Motion by Hawk to approve the proposed changes in hours. Do we have a second?
I will second that motion.
Seconded by Garrett. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion carries. Moving on to the 5311 and state grant agreement.
Yes, so this is the council has seen this has been a tabled issue from several meetings ago. This is the federal funding as well as which is the 5311 funds, and then as well as the state funding for the 2019 transit. There's multiple kind of federal government this exhibits on here that will have the mayor's approval for the certificate regarding lobbying. It's just typical federal government agreements that are included in the back of here. Anti-drug, alcohol misuse, non-discrimination clause, local civil rights clause, those type of things. So with that, recommend the council approve the South Dakota Department of Transportation 5311 and state grant funding for 2019.
Do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Moved by Myers to approve that grant funding. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Schmidt. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to consider the transit bus facility grant acceptance.
All right, more transit. I had alluded a few meetings ago that the city would be potentially the recipient of a grant for the construction of a transit facility. We had applied for this, I think in early 2018, and have been waiting to hear word on this. We have been awarded $300,000 in total dollars for construction. 20% of that would be the responsibility of the city. That $300,000 budget was based on this drawing that you have submitted here, a 54 by 30 foot 3-stall garage with a small office and some room for storage. This is to be considered by the council. We have had some kind of minimal discussion on location and where we would put this. We don't have to make those determinations this evening. There's been 2 locations that have been thrown out, and I've been trying to brainstorm about potential other locations. The south end of the city shop lot has been thrown out as an option. And then the lot that's south of the library that faces 5th Street, 5th and Orleans has also been discussed as a potential option for location. I want to work with the library board and make sure that they would be okay with that, because I know that there have been schematics showing potential for future parking on that lot in the future. So that could be a downside to that lot. That lot does have water and sewer stubbed into it, so you'd be able to have a restroom facility and those type of things, which could be a benefit as well. But I guess this is up for council's consideration. If you want me to do some more research or find out some facts that the council needs to make a decision, it isn't crucial that we make a motion on this tonight. We can have some discussion and table this. But we did receive this grant, and so this is up for consideration at this point.
If we were to approve it, we're just approving the grant, that
Yep, accepting
that
the
we want
grant.
to accept it.
Yep,
And then we have time to,
we'd have time to determine the details or figure out the details.
so the $300,000 grant that they're willing to award, is that just for construction of a building, or if you need to acquire some land, can part of that be used for acquiring land?
I think it can be used to acquire land,
Okay,
but let me check on that.
okay.
Let me check on that.
So the building that we have drawn up here, how much is this?
It's in that probably 200-ish range. I'm gonna say probably like a little over 200.
In today's world, James, that's a real hard question to answer.
Yeah.
Good guess, but
Well, I was just
Justin, who
thinking,
knows?
if it's $300,000 and we're thinking about purchasing some land, we need to know what the cost of the building is too, you know, approximately.
Yep, yep.
How many trans vehicles do we have now? We
One.
just have the one, right?
You know, the thought process was if we're applying for this grant, you know, we don't want to, we've also talked about another vehicle in the past. You know, if we're gonna expand and we're gonna have this facility for 30+ years, that we might as well build it a size that can accommodate future use.
And that's why I voted no on getting rid of some hours, is because we've got this in the works.
Yeah, that works too, yeah, I agree.
Is there a number of years that you're tied to with this?
Well, it's never really, if you read this, it's never officially yours. You know, if you ever wanted to sell it, you'd have to reimburse the state for the 80%.
Yeah, but
But it's
Based
still
on-
on
Or
our
80%
books.
of what you sold it for,
Accounting wise, they look at it as ours.
yes, but they have interest.
Yes.
It's like remember the bus, when we sold the bus, and if it was over $5,000, we had to give them 80% of our proceeds.
So then the state would own the land too, or 80?
No, it's under our ownership, but we couldn't use it as an asset to sell it and make money off of it in the future, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Or for some reason the transit went by the wayside, we'd lose it back to whoever.
Yeah, I mean, it is to be used for the purpose of transit.
That's it,
So what if we want?
except for that lawnmower that you're storing in the front.
Well,
What if we want to park
I mean,
a brand new
that-
city car in there?
the purpose of it is to be used for transit.
That car transit.
Transit.
Car, yeah. public
That's the
transit.
stuff you write on.
Yeah, correct.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we apply, or accept the Department of Transportation's, bus facility grant.
You heard his motion. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Borchard. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're on the transit department. On the new business. Health pool.
Attached to the packet is the city's new health insurance renewals. Fortunately, for the second year in a row here, the city is receiving a 0% rate increase for 2019. There's some kind of information on that on the cover page, as well as the breakdown of the benefits that the city employees have through the Health Pool of South Dakota for health insurance. With that said, we moved to the health pool in 2017, and when we were facing a pretty large increase with the health insurance provider we had, and we went over to the health pool, and they did not provide us an increase at all. We went over with about the same cost to the city. And so since that time in 2017, there has not been an increase for the city's general fund to cover the health insurance costs for city employees. So with that, recommend approving the Health Pool of South Dakota contract for 2019.
Do we have a motion to that?
So moved.
Moved by Myers. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Berg. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to the resolution number 2018-20, nominate city employee.
It's kind of a awkward thing to have a resolution about myself on the agenda, but I was approached at the municipal league conference, actually a few weeks before that. There's an open position on the Public Assurance Alliance. That's the insurance provider for the city and for our city, so it's municipalities and counties throughout the state. And I was approached about, there's an open seat, and in order for me to sit on that board, there has to be approval of support from the governing body. It's something I'll pursue. I'm not guaranteed to get the position, but I'm done with my service as the president of the City Managers Association. So I'd like to keep involved with something at this point, so it would be a good opportunity to have a city representative sit on that board too, because they make determinations on insurance premium increases and everything associated with Assurance Alliance, so.
Would that affect hours at all, having you?
The
sit on
hours,
it?
I think that there might be, there's like 2 meetings a year that I might have to run out to Pier for. But
I mean,
I would be able to handle that.
So as far as our coverage, obviously it's not a
Conflict of interest.
conflict of interest.
No, there's representatives from other cities, counties, elected officials, employees of cities on that board.
That's something you wanna do?
Yeah, I think it'd be something good to be involved with.
So moved.
Moved by Borchard to nominate Justin to the South Dakota board. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Garrett. Any other discussion?
Thanks for being willing to do it.
Yeah, well, I'm not guaranteed position, I just need to have this to be able to submit my name. So thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Claims payable.
So moved.
Moved by Myers to pay the bills. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Borchard.
Oh, Schmidt.
Schmidt, sorry about that. Gosh, you sound the same. I wasn't looking, I didn't.
You sounded sexy.
Anyway. Okay, sorry, guys. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. And opposed? Motion carries. Administrator and Finance Officer report.
An update on personnel performance evaluations that have been performed. We have Finance Officer Bartman and Billing Clerk LeBrun, who are both being recommended for the 3% increase. Finance Officer Bartman would be effective at her hire date of October 28th. This would take her salary from $62,073.44 to $63,939.20. And the increase for Diane LeBrun would be 3% effective to November 1st, placing her hourly rate from $21.84 to $22.48. I had updated the council that we had been a finalist for the Wellmark Healthy Hometown Award. We did not end up receiving that $5,000 grant to be a recipient. Sioux Falls, Rapid City, and Fort Pierre received those awards. Our application, there was one or two things on there that we just hadn't finished by the time we submitted it. Some of the bike trail stuff for 115 project was one of them, where I think next year when we turn around, we should be able to submit that and receive a grant. But it was nice to be recognized with those other communities throughout the state, the big communities especially. Free Rebel Site Days occurred the previous weekend, last Thursday, and then this last Saturday. I've got the Technology Days, which was on October 27th. 86 televisions deposited, which is, I kind of have a list of the other items that were deposited. So there was two trailers full of electronic stuff that people got to dump for free and we got rid of. So I think it cost us around $1,000 to hold that.
It was six.
Technology. Yeah, six.
It was actually less than last year.
It was less than last year.
Less appliances, less.
Less
Less
cost to us. Less cost to the city.
It was, probably about 700, pushing 700, but it was in the 600 range.
So yeah, that was good. This last Saturday was rained all day. There was 22 loads that came out. Or actually 22 customers, 51 loads. Last Thursday, there was 46 customers and 55 loads. So, but overall, we'll be shut down now for the rest of the year. It's so wet right now anyways that you don't even want to try and get out there anyway. That is sealed up for the year. Item D, water and wastewater rate increase consideration in December. Oh, sorry.
There's $8,275 at the bottom of this one.
Oh, that's Marty.
Well, I just,
that's
that's an explanation.
Then Marty, where did he sell? Why he was great about that monitor. That would be if we were charging for every one of those loads. That's how much we would have collected, so he considers that a loss.
I see.
Of
Okay, I was just wondering.
So, but which is.
Well, I see figures like
He
that.
likes to he points that out, how much money we're losing by not charging.
That's assuming everybody would
pay.
take it and be taking.
Or but that would be coming out there if it wasn't
Instead
free.
of driving to Sioux Falls and.
Right, well, and that's what,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
this
that would
is-
cost you twice.
and that's what we do this, we've got a trend set now, we do it in the spring and we do it in the fall every year. So, and it's good. Water and wastewater rate increases, in order to be compliant, to be pushing towards the southeast utility project, we're gonna be considering ordinances for increasing water and wastewater rates in December. I'll be going and in this year's budget, we provided some estimates on what we're gonna have to raise to. So Claire and I will be going and reanalyzing that again. I know a few weeks back, we had received a letter from MCWC that the water rate was going up to the city, so that'll be factored in. We'll be factoring everything in and bringing ordinances for the council to consider in December. Just wanted to make everybody aware that those will be some important decisions to be made in December. 2018 International Building Code. I apologize, in my notes here, it was just a copy and paste thing. So, because I didn't have the information yet. So, I think it was about 2 months ago, we brought it to the council, that we are still on the 2006 building code for the city of Mill Rapids. That, and the council provided approval to move forward with updating the code. The discussion behind that was because of the ratings that the insurance rating for the community. So, I hit a little bit of a snag, is that if we're going to adopt it, we are going to want to adopt all of the amendments that Sioux Falls has on the code, so that we're consistent with the city of Sioux Falls. Plus, they've got a large office full of engineers and building code specialists that go through that code line by line. They meet with the home, the developers and the Home Builders Association to parse and take out sections of that code that are, don't really apply to South Dakota, that they want out of that code. If you adopt a new code, you have to adopt the most recent. Well, I wasn't aware of this, but Sioux Falls is still on 2015. They haven't adopted 2018. So we're gonna have to stay in a little holding pattern here with our 2006, because we would have to adopt the 2018 code. Sioux Falls is planning on May or June of 2019 to be adopting the 2018 code. So at that time, they'll have all their amendments written. They're working on those amendments right now. So we'll just wait until that time when the Sioux Falls adopts theirs. If that makes sense. Okay. I was not aware when I brought that to council, so.
You say what month of 2019?
He said May or June is what they're shooting for. Minnehaha County speed trailer results is the long 11 by 17 sheet there. We've had requests to have that trailer placed around the city before, and their trailers have all been broken, so they finally got this one fixed and brought it up here. It was sitting up across from the grocery store. I'm sure everyone saw it. But we got some effective readings out there, and I think it helps to deter traffic. So if the council has any other locations they'd like to see us put it, just let me know. I know 10th Street is always one that we get complaints about, so I can see if we can get it back up here again. But it's just some data for the council to consider, and I don't know if we need to really have any discussion on it at this time. Any questions or discussion? No? Okay. Sales tax revenue had a new update here through September. We were down 6.7% in September. Not as bad as August, thank goodness. We've had this discussion that this highway project is really, I guess in my opinion, has affected sales tax with the community. Just it's been a pain in the butt to get into the community. The biggest thing that we want to make sure is that people's trends haven't changed, or they haven't altered their habits. So we're going to be working with the chamber to hopefully maybe do some press releases, and maybe we can get some media attention that we're kind of back open for business once we get this highway project out of the way here yet this fall.
I was gonna get the project done.
It's not looking the greatest right now, is it? The deadline, the main paving, I think they're gonna find a way to get the main paving done. And that's what the contract states. That the contract actually rolls into June of 2019 for finish work. Like, you're probably not gonna see the trails get poured this year, and the seeding done, and all that kind of stuff. They're gonna have to come in and play cleanup in the spring for sure. But hopefully they're gonna get the main paving done. Now, there's an issue, we had some discussion about it kind of before the meeting with the bridge. My understanding of it is that the bridge design elevation was different from the road design elevation.
Obviously.
So, so it's not a contractor issue, but I guess they didn't catch it, and I don't know how they are gonna take care of it. I don't know specifically how they're gonna do that yet, though.
What's one?
So they haven't taken out the diversion yet, they just cut it off so they can get that, north lane paved. And then they're gonna put that diversion back on so they can take care of it.
What's wrong, bridge high or low?
The bridge is low.
Bridge is
The bridge is low.
That's what that asphalt chunks there.
I had that, but now,
Don't those
Yeah.
kind of
Sides.
float, don't they sit on a, can't they put like some
No.
shims under there or something?
It's not a couple on the
Yeah, door shims and.
No.
Yeah.
well, it used to call this water, I just thought,
There you
man.
go. Keep people-
So, but that will be taken care of. I don't know if they're gonna cut it out, or if they're gonna pour more on top. They haven't told me that yet, but I was aware, they did send an email that there was an issue, so. But we'll get done with it eventually. Important dates coming up, that property owner meeting's been set for December 4th at St. Mary's for the Southeast Project. A letter should be going out to property owners yet this week. I can get that done. We've met, there was a number of folks that wanted an opportunity to sit down with the engineer. We had some meetings last week, and it was with some of the individuals, maybe had a little bit of fear that there might be some outstanding issues that are gonna be hard to solve. Everybody walked away positive from that, so I think we still have a positive outlook by everybody that's involved in that project. And I guess we'll get more of a feel for that at that December 4th meeting. You know, following that meeting, we'll be moving forward with that resolution of necessity process to be doing the assessments. You know, because we're gonna want that in place prior to bidding, awarding that project, in, you know, that February, March time period. So, all that stuff's gonna kind of start culminating, in the next several months here, moving forward with that project.
At this meeting, Justin, all the property owners will have a guesstimate of what their assessment will be.
Yeah, and Lance should have some updates. They'll probably be pretty close to where they were before, but he's gonna tweak them and update them a little bit more.
Could we,
So they've been given a number
They were getting
already,
a number last year.
but now it's getting refined and kind of.
It's gonna get a little bit more refined, yeah.
first one was worst case scenario from
Yeah,
what I can
and
understand.
we're gonna continue to give worst case scenarios.
Right.
You know, like with some of the sidewalk stuff, we haven't went out and did the sidewalk inventory. We talked about, it was like, we're gonna pay DGR, you know, $10,000 to go out and survey the sidewalks when they can just do it on site during the construction.
Right.
So we're gonna give them a worst case scenario on the sidewalks, and then, you know, pare that down during construction. You know, rather than going out and marking everything now, that would have cost a fortune to do that. I mean, the design alone on this thing is already really, really expensive. It's a big project, so. But yes, they will have estimates, prior to that meeting. We're gonna send out a notice to them, just to let them know about the date, and then get those to them closer to the meeting. The city of Volga, city council, contacted us, about wanting to come to Dell Rapids and take a tour. So we've set that up for, Monday, the 19th. Gonna spend 2 hours taking the Volga city council around. Volga is a community that's smaller than Dell's, but, you know, they're close to Brookings, and they issue probably 50+ housing permits a year. They're clicking along, they're growing. They don't have a trail system. Some of their parks they'd like to improve, industrial park, you know, commercial zone. They wanna come and take a tour of a small community that they kind of striving to maybe kind of build, similar to. And so they're gonna bring some folks from their development corporation, you know, have Tom there. If anybody here would like to attend, let me know, and We'll give them a quick tour and then probably sit out at the fire hall for an hour or so, and they can ask questions, and, I think pretty informal, but, just a nice thing to do for another community in the state. Not on here, and I don't know if the council has heard all of this, but, this Thursday, the Del Rapids Theater is going to have the NBC Today show. The national news show is going to be doing a feature on the Del Rapids Theater. They're gonna be here all day, pretty much the whole day on Thursday, filming B-roll of the town and doing interviews. And then they're doing a feature on the Del Rapids Theater, how it's a small, single-screen theater in a small town and a thriving little small town. And so it's kind of it's for a small business Saturday feature that they're gonna have. I don't know specifically when the episode's gonna air. We'll find more out this week. But it's kind of a cool deal. We're gonna have the national news in town for a whole day. So, a little spotlight on Del Rapids. And Jeff Logan, who owns the theater, has made those investments into that theater. Digital screen and digital sound, and the neon on the outside of the marquee. Some of these things are just kind of a labor of love for him, and it's kind of cool that he's getting that recognition. The First National Bank is footing the bill for the tickets for that night, and it's going to be The Grinch. It's a kind of a pre-screening. I don't think the movie's released until Friday. So
That's Thursday,
that's Thursday night.
same night as the state.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say I was rooting against the Tories the other night, but that did cross my mind. I mean, when there'll be less people in town Thursday night for sure. They'll be in Vermillion. So, but I think that they'll still pack that theater. So, but kind of interesting. Anyway, that's all I have. This Thursday. Yep.
Update on
Go for it. What's that?
update on the pumper station, how's that coming along? Looks good, it's got lights.
It's got lights, it's got a roof, yeah, they're moving along, and then, the, Prunty was in town and put all the water and sewer in, so we got utilities in there. So-
And along the campsites too, I noticed.
Yep, the utilities are in the campsites, yep, so we're moving.
We got our, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Do we need to hang an extra light pole out there or anything like that when we?
We've got, a plan with Excel to get us some more lighting out there. Along the road.
Yeah.
And then the lights on those light packs on the, I don't know if you've driven by at night, but they're pretty bright.
That's good.
So, but, yeah. And we did get some trees planted along the third base line of the, left field foul line out there. Some really nice trees, so, been trying to get some work done out there after we slaughtered off those trees. Yeah.
Do you know when they're gonna turn the highway lights on 115?
I know we set up an Excel energy
They're
account.
still working on setting up he's working with Excel right now to figure things out.
I know there's several of the bases that don't even have poles on them.
Yeah,
So,
but there's a few that are up, but they're not on.
I don't know if they're all
Yeah.
wired and everything yet. I know that there's a few of them up. So
They were working on a location for like the billing, so for everything to kind of come into, so I don't know that it's all wired yet either, but. Just an update on the 10th Street assessment, I received the last check today, so it is paid in full from all the special assessment folks.
If that's everything, I'll have one last motion.
So moved.
Who to guess? We have a second.
I'll second.
Oh, I thought it was. Who said that? Schmidt. All those I wasn't looking at you.
So the December 4th meeting, I mean,
It isn't a requirement for the council.
no, but like for, are we gonna have,
Oh,
are we gonna have estimated time frames?